find anywhere in Srimad Bhagavatam. That might be a little astounding, and we might wonder why, so we'll discuss a little bit about that. And then discuss who is Srimati Radharani in relation to our progress and process of devotional service. Okay, so you can, again, Canto 10, Chapter 30, text number 28. So we'll use our cell phones for those who have it. They can pull up the verse so we can have a recitation. And my eyes are having a hard time focusing. Anayaradito nunam Bhagavan Harishvara Yanova Vihaya Govinda Prito Yamanayaraha Anayaradito nunam Bhagavan Harishvara Yano Vihaya Govinda Prito Yamanayaraha Anayaradito nunam Bhagavan Harishvara Yano Vihaya Govinda Prito Yamanayaraha. I would like to repeat. Anayaradito nunam
Bhagavan Harishvaraha
Bhagavan Harishvara
Yanno Vihaya Govinda
Yano Vihaya Govinda
Prito Yamanayadraha
Prito Yamanayaraha. Anaya, by her, Radha, perfectly worshipped, Nunam, certainly, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Hari, Lord Krishna, Ishvara, the supreme controller, Yat, inasmuch as, Nah, us, Vihaya, rejecting, Govinda, Lord Govinda, Pritaha, pleased, Yam, whom, Anayat, led, Raha, to a secluded place. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped, Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Please repeat. Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Purport. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that the word Aradhita refers to Srimati Radharani. He comments, the sage Sukadeva Goswami has tried with all endeavor to keep her name hidden, but now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy. And thus the word Aradhita is like the rumbling of a kettle drum, sounding to announce her great good fortune. Although the gopis spoke as if jealous of Srimati Radharani, they were actually ecstatic to see that she had captured Lord Krishna. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti quotes the following detailed description of Srimati Radharani's footprints as given by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Sri Ujjvala Nilamani. At the base of her large toe of her left foot is the mark of her barley corn. Below that mark is a disc. Below the disc is an umbrella. Below the umbrella is a bracelet. A vertical line extends from the middle of her foot to the juncture of her large and second toes. At the base of the middle toe is a lotus. Below that is a flag with a banner, and below the flag is a creeper together with a flower. At the base of her small toe is an elephant goad, and upon her heel is a half moon. Thus there are 11 marks on her left foot. At the base of her large toe of her right foot is a conch shell, and below that a spear. And the base of the small toe of her right foot is a sacrificial altar. Below that an earring, and below the earring a spear. Along the base of the second, third, fourth, and small toes is the mark of a mountain, below which is a chariot, and on the heel is a fish. Thus altogether there are 19 distinguishing marks on the soles of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. Om Jnana Timidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dhrati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paridana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsta Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Dapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhyevacham Patinanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisheshashta Nivari Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'll read the verse again. Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. So, again, welcome to this most auspicious day in our Vedic calendar, this Radhastami Mahotsav, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So, before we discuss this verse, just a little bit of context. So, who is Srimati Radharani? We call her our eternal mother, because Krishna is our eternal father. Aham bijaha pradaha pita. So if we have father, we must have mother. But Radharani and Krishna, they're not like what we ordinarily think in terms of, mother, father, boy, girl, husband, wife. That is actually not the understanding of who Srimati Radharani is in relation to Krishna. Srimati Radharani is actually, Radha and Krishna are actually one manifested in two. One manifested in two. That's how we should understand Radha and Krishna. And what is the manifestation of Radharani? Radharani is Krishna's Haladini Shakti, the pleasure potency, our ability to experience happiness, pleasure. It is dependent on Krishna's energy. Everything we experience is dependent on Krishna's energy. Every breath we take, we're dependent on the Lord. Every ray of sunshine we take, we are dependent on the Lord. Everything. So in order to enjoy any happiness, we also must receive the mercy from this pleasure potency. So when Krishna himself has this desire to enjoy, he manifests in the person his energy of happiness, of pleasure. A little bit sometimes hard for us to contextualize because we think in terms of matter. But just we can keep in the back of our mind that Srimati Radharani is the personification of Krishna's pleasure potency. And she exists for one purpose: to give Krishna happiness. This is very instructive to us in how we can absorb the proper mood of devotional service. And today we can have darshan of Srimati Radharani and take blessings that we can obtain a fraction of her mood of devotional service. And we can see that all worshippers of Krishna coming in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, they follow this very specific mood of worship that we'll talk about in a little bit. But understand now, Srimati Radharani, she is the pleasure potency of Krishna, and she has what single purpose? What's her only purpose? To give Krishna happiness. And this is not any ordinary boy-girl relationship. This is one manifested in two. So immediately we can throw out all of our concocted ideas of different pastimes we sometimes read in even Srimad Bhagavatam and understand one manifested in two. Now, Srimati Radharani is very important to us in our process of devotional service. And we have so much evidence of that. Our own beloved Srila Prabhupada, his father, Gaur Mohan De, anytime a great sannyasi came to his house, he would warmly invite them in, even if they were not so qualified even. If they were dressed in sannyasi attire, he would invite them in. He would give them prasadam, give them the nice place to sit, glorify them. This is the Vedic etiquette. Anybody that comes to our house, even as far as our enemy comes to our house, they should be received as if they are the most elevated and dear person to us. So Srila Prabhupada's father would do that, and he would serve them very nicely. And of course, in reciprocation, the sannyasis would ask, anything I can do for you. And so then comes out the laundry list, right? Of all the things I want from the saint, right? Kind of like when we go see Radha Hari, we put in our order, long order, and we put a couple bucks in the hundi and pray that it happens. But a pure devotee knows actually what to pray for. We in our conditioned state pray for, sometimes silly things, but that's okay. At least we're going to the Lord. Krishna considers that to still be very pious. But what did Srila Prabhupada's father pray for? His happiness, his long health, good income in his garment business, long life for his children, good education, grandchildren, altar service. What did he pray for? He said, please make my son a devotee of Krishna. Please make my son a devotee of Srimati Radharani. Now we may wonder why. Why not Krishna? Because Gaur Mohan De understood that to please Krishna, we must go through Srimati Radharani. That is the means to please Krishna. That is why we always say, Radha Krishna, not Krishna Radha. We always approach Krishna through the mercy of Srimati Radharani. But it's also very, very intelligent to approach through Srimati Radharani for one important reason. Probably many important reasons, I shouldn't say one, but one I'll highlight here. Who is most dear to Krishna? Radharani. Anybody is more dear to Krishna than Radharani? No. Srimati Radharani is most dear. So when someone is dear to you, we see this in, Prabhupada uses the word henpecked. A henpecked husband. What does he do? Anything the wife says. Right? No matter how ridiculous it might be, no matter how fanciful it might be. So Krishna in a transcendental way is described as the henpecked associate of Srimati Radharani. It actually unlocks a very powerful opportunity for us. And what is that? Because Krishna will do whatever Srimati Radharani asks. Because he loves her so much. So if somehow we can garner her favor, and she tells Krishna, Krishna, please show some mercy to this lost soul. What will Krishna do? He'll do it. Why? Because he does whatever Radharani says. He has so much love for her. If we ask Krishna, Krishna, please show me mercy, he may ask us questions. What is your qualification? How sincere are you? Are you ready to? If Radharani says it, no questions asked. So this is the surefire way to obtain the mercy of Krishna, is to obtain the blessings from Srimati Radharani. And we know mothers are very soft. A child can do so much nonsense over and over and over again. But with this one sweet smile, mother melts and forgets everything. That is like Srimati Radharani. She has the strongest desire, as any loving mother does, that all of her children are happy, free of misery. Does the mother have any other desire? She doesn't even desire anything for herself. If mother and daughter are hungry and one plate of food comes, who eats first? Mother or child? 100% child. So Srimati Radharani, we are all children of her. And she has one desire, to see us happy, free of misery, free of all of the difficulties. She is more pained than we are that we are in this material world suffering in separation from our eternal Father. And so, if we approach her and she's standing with her hand like this, what is on this hand? All the blessings. Blessings from Srimati Radharani that we can obtain to gain her favor, so that we can acquire the mercy of Krishna. Because without coming to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Kunj Bihari, we have no hope in this material world. And actually these markings on Srimati Radharani's feet that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has commented on, our acharyas have given beautiful descriptions of what each of these symbols mean. For example, she has an umbrella on her foot. What does that umbrella mean? It is an umbrella that we know. When do we use an umbrella? Protection from rain. Because we don't want rain to touch us, right? So is she carrying an umbrella to protect us from rain? This umbrella represents the protection from the rainfall of material miseries that exist in this world. If you want to be protected from them, don't think about an insurance policy. Don't think about moving to Hawaii or this place or that. Take shelter of the umbrella on Srimati Radharani's feet. Because that is the protection from all of the material miseries in this world. We're not going to stop the miseries of this world, but we can stop them from affecting us. Just like I can go outside. I can't stop the rain, but with an umbrella I can stop the rain from touching me. To stop these miseries from affecting me, simply take to the feet of Srimati Radharani. That is why she has an umbrella on her foot. She has a conch. Our Acharya's comment that the conch, we offer the conch in arti, right? After offering, fire, ghee lamp. Acharya's comment very sweetly. That the conch on Srimati Radharani's feet is carrying the water that extinguishes the fire of material suffering for all of us. She has a spear. This spear, the disc, I think. Yeah, it's a disc. She has a disc. What the disc does, it slashes the 6 enemies of the mind, this lust, pride, anger, greed, envy, illusion. The goad that she has on her foot. You know, an elephant uses a goad to tell the elephant where to go. An elephant's a giant animal, not so easy to control. Kind of like our minds. It's a giant animal within our heads and not very easy to control. But this goad on Srimati Radharani's foot gives us the strength to control our very turbulent mind. So like this, you can see all these symbols on Srimati Radharani's feet. What are they for? All of us. To help us in the process of devotional service. So this is the opportunity we have in taking the shelter of Srimati Radharani's feet. She exists to give Krishna pleasure, and she is our instrument in learning this mode of service. So now let's discuss a little bit about this verse. Who is speaking this verse? Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her and he abandoned the rest of us. Who is speaking this verse? The gopis. And what has Krishna done? He what?
He's disappeared. He's left them.
He's abandoned the rest of us. Right? And took Srimati Radharani to a secluded place. And what was the mood of gopis? Envy? Anger? They said, what did they do in the beginning of this verse? They glorified. Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped. Not how Krishna could take this gopi to the place and abandon us. Don't they know that she does this, that, and the other? That's what we do. When somebody in a temple gets some service that we want, we just like, don't they know this person's a rascal and how great I am? But you can see the gopis, their mood. They're celebrating Srimati Radharani for her perfect worship of Krishna and celebrating the fact that Krishna has abandoned them. I lost my position of dancing with Krishna because of the perfection of Srimati Radharani's worship. This is the mood of bhakti. This is the mood of devotional service. That one becomes enthused seeing the success of others in devotional service. When Rupa and Sanatana Goswami first met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Ramkeli, and there was an exchange between Rupa and Sanatana Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is one of the sweetest exchanges you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So sweet. Of how they're expressing their humility to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling them, stop, stop. Your humility is breaking my heart. And it just was this exchange of love. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showers so much mercy on Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. And all the associates are gathered around this elevated tree watching this. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explains that the mood of those devotees, they are in ecstasy, seeing Rupa and Sanatana Goswami receiving this mercy. This is the mood of a pure devotee. How we might be? Why I can't be on that stage. Why I can't get that mercy. Right? If we are at least honest, I'm speaking for myself. The mood of the gopis here, the mood of our pure devotees, they understand. Yes. And this takes us even further into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and taught this very important mood of service in separation from Krishna, not in direct association with Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'm not wanting to serve Krishna. I said, what? Who does he want to serve? The servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Why? Who gives Krishna the most happiness? Who gives Krishna the most happiness? Huh? Radharani. Anybody else can match Srimati Radharani's happiness? So when I say, Krishna, let me serve you. Now, who am I thinking for? Me or for Krishna? Me.
Krishna.
No, me. Why? Because how does my service to Krishna compare to Radharani's service to Krishna? Insignificant. It's not even noticeable. Right? Like if you shine a flashlight in this bright sunny day, it doesn't even register. My service to Krishna compared to... So does that mean I have no role? I'm useless? So our acharyas teach us. What do they want to do? No. They want to facilitate Radharani's service to Krishna. Recognizing I cannot please Krishna as much as Srimati Radharani. So let me assist Radharani in serving Krishna. Because my goal is not my happiness, it is Krishna's happiness. But then they realize, well, I can't assist Radharani because the Sakhis are there. They are like serving Radharani. So let me serve them. But then there are the Manjaris. Well, I can't serve them. Let me serve them. And like this, the devotee finds their position. And they get extraordinary happiness and bliss in this union between Krishna and Srimati Radha. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had one place where he desired to leave his body. Anybody know, want to guess where that place might be? Vrindavan, Mayapur, on the banks of Radhakund, Jagannath Puri. Where did he want to leave his body? Navadvip? He wanted to leave his body at Kurukshetra. Where at Kurukshetra? At the place. Not where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken even. At the place where Krishna met Srimati Radharani after a long period of separation. That was where he thought, that's where Krishna was the happiest. Because he was separated from Srimati Radharani for so long. And at that time of reunion, I can say, Krishna must have been, he said, this is the most potent place. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, this is where, there's the Gaudiya Math is there today, very beautiful place in Kurukshetra. If you ever go, you should take darshan there. But we get this mood of understanding the potency of uniting Srimati Radharani with Krishna. That is our devotional service. Our direct service to Krishna is very challenging. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was relishing his intense devotional pastimes, he was locked up in Gambhira, and he was just relishing this mood of separation. And we see this mood of separation intensifies the love. Hey Radhe Vachadevike Chalavite. Hey Nanda Suna Kutava. She Govardhana Kalpapada Patale. Kalim Divani Kuta. Where are you, Krishna? Where are you, Srimati Radharani? Have you gone to Govardhan? Are you in the Yamuna? Like this, the Sad Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis are being glorified for their mood. So this is the mood. And Srimati Radharani herself has this extraordinary selfless spirit. So the devotees, the acharyas, they teach us, I'm serving Krishna directly? No. I want to serve who can serve Krishna better. It's like going into the kitchen and we are cooking. How does this relate to us? I'm trying to make chapatis for Krishna. But if I know somebody else can make better chapatis for Krishna, I should assist them in making chapatis. What can I do to help you? But normally what do? Get out. I want to make chapatis for Krishna. Make sure mine get on the plate. But instead we should think, what is pleasing to Krishna most? But who carries this mood? How to inculcate this mood? Srimati Radharani carries this mood to perfection. The last stanza of Shikshashtakam prayers. The last stanza of Shikshashtakam prayers is glorifying who? Srimati Radharani. Because she has unconditional love. How unconditional? Even if you make me brokenhearted by not being present before me, or you make me brokenhearted, or you handle me roughly by your embrace, my love for you is unconditional. That is unconditional love. Not Krishna, I'll love you if you fulfill my 17 desires. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Antya Lila, the final chapter, beautiful, exquisite description of the purity of Srimati Radharani's service to Krishna is explained. Some of the most stunning verses you'll ever read about what it means to be unconditional in service. What it means to be focused on Krishna's happiness, not my own. She goes on to say that, if my rival, we all have rivals, right? Somebody that we're competing with. We compete for our spiritual master's attention. We compete for this. We compete for this service, right? We have this. Well, in the spiritual world, there's also competition. There's transcendental competition. And Srimati Radharani says that if Krishna is enjoying the company of my rival more than me, then I will become that rival's maidservant. I will help beautify her. I will help energize her, give her everything I have, so that if she's giving Krishna more happiness than me, I will go serve her. Now we know what we would do. If someone is getting something more than what, we'll figure out how to pull them down, how to defame them, how to do whatever it takes. Best case, we'll try to prop ourselves up. But Srimati Radharani says, no, I'll become that person's maidservant. She says, if my distance, being far away from Krishna, gives him happiness, then that distance separation from Krishna is my happiness. She says, if my devastation, my destruction gives Krishna happiness, then that destruction of me is my happiness. It is, I can't even touch the surface of this mood, but you have to read this final chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. But the only thing we can pull away is Srimati Radharani has perfected unconditional, selfless devotional service. And we can at least honestly acknowledge we have a ways to go to come to this mood of unconditional, selfless service. But if we draw upon the mercy of Srimati Radharani on her appearance day, then we can also inculcate at least a small fraction of this mood of selfless service. And that is what will please Krishna. That is what is pleasing Krishna. And my final comment today, as I mentioned in the beginning, that Srimati Radharani exists for the pleasure to give Krishna happiness and pleasure. And our acharyas are focused simply on how we can unite Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Just like the gopis here are celebrating Srimati Radharani for her perfect worship, and how Krishna has abandoned all of them to be with her in a secluded place. They are excited about the union of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So how are we going to work to unite Srimati Radharani with Krishna? They're situated here already united. What can we do? Actually, every day, if we understand the purport that Srila Prabhupada gave us and the Maha Mantra, when we chant Hare, who are we calling out to? And when we chant Krishna, who are we calling out to? And because Nitya Sarva Shaktis, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, all of the energies of Krishna are within his names, they are non-different. They're non-different. So when we call out Krishna, who is dancing on our tongue? Krishna's. Well then, who is dancing on our tongue when we call out to Srimati Radharani? So every time we chant the Mahamantra, we are actually uniting Krishna and Srimati Radharani in our small way. Of course, it cannot be in any comparison, but even in that small way, it is appreciated by the all-loving, eternal Mother and Father of ours. So we can meditate on when we're chanting out Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. We are bringing Srimati Radharani and Krishna together. That is the mood of devotional service. We chant to glorify the Supreme Lord. Chanting is devotional service to Krishna. Yes, there's a byproduct of our purification, of our progress in devotional service. But the chanting is a service to Krishna. Why? Because we are glorifying Krishna and bringing him together with his most wonderful Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani ki, Shri Radhastami Mahotsav ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Adanta Koti Vaishnavrinda. Any questions, comments, corrections? Yes.
I just want to mention one thing. That Radha is Krishna's eternal consort. So in this world, when someone has that deep of love and respect for someone, there's almost an implication that they don't have to do what they say because they're so loved they could have their own agenda.
There's no love in the material world.
Well, so just what I'm saying is that
No,
Radha doesn't think that way ever. Even though she's one with Krishna eternally and could never be separated from him, so she doesn't even have to offer 1 ounce of devotion, she's entirely humble to offer devotion to him always, because not only does she fully please Krishna, Krishna is even more fully pleased when we all join together to please Krishna with her. So she shows us the way through her humility constantly when she's already one with him. It's very perplexing and very deep.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
Radha has millions of gopis serving her. And she means they are serving Krishna. So what is the insignificant our services? That there is no value of our service. But the Prabhupada said that please accept their service. My disciples are not praying, but accept their service. That's the only reason Krishna will be served.
That position we have when we see there are already millions of gopis, already so many manjaris, we think, where are we? Right? That only is troubling to us if we have a desire for our position versus Krishna's happiness. Actually, the devotee has no trouble. If I am the servant of 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 the servant, but as long as I have an opportunity to serve one of Krishna's devotees, I am fully happy. But as soon as it becomes, well, I want this service, I want this position, I will be frustrated. As long as there is a mood of I, better not go to the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world, nobody cares about I. Everybody is focused on Krishna. So the devotee realizes, I may be insignificant, but whatever significance I have, whatever ability I have, it has come from Krishna. I'm grateful for that ability from Krishna, and I'll use it to serve Krishna. So one doesn't feel, weak and meek and has low self-esteem, thinking I'm you. No, one saying, okay, I have this ability, whatever it is, and I'm going to use it in the service of Krishna. So one becomes very happy. But until one comes to this selfless mood, the spiritual world is not a satisfying place for them. His Grace Bhojam Prabhu once said, rest assured, all the direct spots of service of Krishna are already taken. Just reconcile that. And then understand. But there is no less happiness experienced by the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And because you know, who enjoys more, Krishna or his devotees? Krishna couldn't even understand the happiness the devotees had, that he came himself as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You had a question?
So there was a discussion earlier in the talk that Radha is mentioned, name is mentioned only once in Srimad Bhagavatam, and
Oh.
also indirectly. So could you shed some?
Thank you. I forgot to comment on that. So she's not even mentioned once, she's mentioned indirectly, right? She's indicated. Why? Because the topics of Srimati Radharani are so sweet and so overwhelming for the pure devotee. That if the pure devotee begins to speak about Srimati Radharani, he'll never stop. You'll lose all composure and go into complete ecstasy. So Shukadeva Goswami had this mandate, he had this job to perform, which was to deliver Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And he had 7 days. And he had to cover a lot of ground. So he knew if he began to speak about the gopis and Srimati Radharani, he would lose it. So he purposefully restrained himself, pulled himself back, would not let him in. And this little indication snuck out. He couldn't control for our benefit. But that's how sweet the mood is. So Shukadeva Goswami consciously, held back, because if he started speaking, he would have gone into complete transcendental mode, and the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam would not have been completed. And so that is why he is suppressed to his best of ability, but she's so magnanimous and sweet, she makes her appearance at least once for us to be able to relish. Our acharyas, however, have given voluminous, the 6 Goswami, in particular Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, they have written extensively about the glories of Srimati Radharani. In teachings of Lord Chaitanya, you can see, maybe this evening we'll discuss, Srimati Radharani has 25 transcendental qualities, and these qualities are so sweet. And so all this has been described in great detail by our acharyas. And so we do have, nice information to understand. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, any other? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please forgive me if I misspoke any